Am I live now? I'm steady running my mouth and I wasn't even live. Sometimes mama need a little help over here. Um, good day, good day, good day, good day. I'm doing all my little checks to make sure I'm showing up okay. I'm seeing myself there. Am I on Facebook here? It wants me to try another way. I'm not on TikTok yet. Let me see. Just to make sure I'm showing up there. Give me a second. It's doing some work here. Give me a second, y'all. All right. Let me just do a check on Facebook. You know what? I'm telling you, when my team gets together, this is going to be some smooth sailing over here. I just cannot wait. Oh, yes, the team, the expert media team. Oh, yeah. Am I on? I think I'm looking okay. All right. Yeah. I'm there. I'm feeling good. I feel good. Do. I knew that I would. It's Friday is every day. For those of you who are saying, thank God it's Friday tomorrow, right? Love and lights, welcome all. I'm going on to TikTok now. Love lights, welcome all. I don't know. Oh, it's doing what it's doing here. Hi, y'all. Hi, y'all. This is Minister Dr. Akala Kamaat coming at you live today. And yes, I'm just loading up on TikTok over here. Because TikTok, I got something for you today. I learned how to use the graphics in the live stream. So just remember TikTok, I'm doing a dual screen here. You guys are on my favorite, my iPhone, because I love y'all so much. And then I love my YouTubers and my Facebook here through my restream. So just know I'm doing a little thing here, but TikTok, I got something for you. I figured out how to actually put graphics, things I'm talking about, into the live stream. That makes me extremely happy. And I did get some water up in here. I want to keep it close to me. Okay, y'all. You know, I call myself doing these live streams 5 days a week. And you know, I hope you know, or you should know, it takes a lot to put together these scripts, get this stuff working. Sometimes I guess maybe I could bite off more than I can chew. But I am here, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. No matter how interesting it is to pull together this information Monday through Friday, get it up here by 2:30, get everything set up. I do it happily, excitedly, and all that good stuff, right? It's all the wonderful thing. I'm just waiting for folks to come in. I ask you if if you're coming in here, we're going to do today, again, Love Lights, Ashe, welcome all. This is the Akh Ascension, my friends. And today we're actually going to be doing the Sahu guided practice. We're in the Gate of Akh. Okay, so that's today, teaching the guided practice. And that's why I wanted to get graphics because, I took pictures of the guidebook. I keep refining the output of this work. And so I took pictures of the guidebook. And what I'm going to do today, among all of the rest of the conversation I will be having, right? Thank you, all y'all joining. Thank you so much. I appreciate y'all. Thank you, YouTube and Facebook, for being here too. I love y'all. As I'm going through, the Rite, your own Sakhu, Sakhu, right? We talked about yesterday from the Book of the Dead. I'm going to show pictures from the guidebook so that you can see exactly what I'm talking about and how to use it, right? And so the goal is to go to power-profit/resources, scroll down to the resource library, the guidebook, and get the Sahu, Sahu guidebook. It's a PDF. You don't have to go through a lot of layers of emails and subscriptions. Just go get it, download it, so that as I'm going through these images that come directly from the guidebook, right, you know what I'm talking about. And I'm going to tell you more about the use of this guidebook because people get kind of excited. I'm going through this Akh Ascension walk, my friends, right? And again, thank you all for joining. Love lights. And I'm going to talk. I don't know why my phone is going so dark. It's probably because it's trying to conserve energy here. Is that you cannot get to the Gate of Akh and you cannot get to the Sahu without doing the walk. So there's so many people who just want to jump in and do and take. These practices and guides are all linked from the very beginning in the Gate of Akh, at the Khat, the body, up until today. So people could jump in and take what they want and start here. But as the individual, as the channel through which this information was downloaded and facilitated into this 3D reality, I'm very clear about the fact that you cannot just jump on board and start here. Again, I take a trauma-informed approach. You do, I accept people where they're at. And if it's called skipping the line or running to the finish without even getting started in the race, you're just going to go to the front and say, I won. Can you imagine that? That's what it looks like, right? It's like, okay, ooh, this is good. I'm going to use this. I'm going to do this, right? And instead of starting the race or the walk at the beginning, the journey at the beginning, we're just going to get in the car and drive up to the finish line. Like maybe the last 500 yards of the finish line, get up behind out the car and start walking those 500 yards to the end, right? Right? I mean, that's funny. It's funny to me because we do that. I mean, I have done that. You know what I mean? People are, you got to start here to get there. I know where I'm at. I know what I'm going to do. This is what I need. I'm going to start here. And then you do it. I'm going to talk more about this in a minute. But I got to do housekeeping. Facebook and TikTok. Do me a favor, hit follow. Facebook, follow the Power of Release page. And I ask you, if you're in this live stream right here and now, I ask you to share it. Facebook, let people know I'm on, because if you're here for a reason, and maybe other people want to hear it. And the same with TikTok here. Follow so you can be aware of when, these live streams are, when clips are dropping, and so on and so on. But if you're here right now, do me a favor and share this live stream so that other people can come on and see what is happening here, what is afoot. That's the housekeeping. And YouTube. Look, support your independent faith media. That's my new thing. Support your independent faith media. Like they got all these signs all over YouTube. Support independent media, because they're talking about the people that are on there broadcasting news, baby. Well, I'm going to use that little phrase. Support independent faith media. Those of us who are not aligned with any faith theology group, all these religious denominations. We are just independent faith workers. Support us. So subscribe, hit notifications, and give me a like, right? Support independent faith media, right? Especially those of us who talk directly to Kim folks. There ain't too many of us out here who are not trying to be mainstream, right? To support us, independent faith media. Because we need more folks to talk directly to Kim folks about a different type of faith that falls outside of the dominant paradigms of what faith is. Hey, TikTok, thank y'all for joining. If I don't hit you all with the hi, you know I'm here. Okay. All right. So YouTube, like, subscribe, hit notifications. I'm gonna say right now, if you need me, as I'm going today, if you need me, anybody, you need more information, more insight, DM me or email me, reach higher at power-profit.com. Look in the bio, the link in profile. My email is there. You let me know. And again, before I get started, you can find the Sahu Practice Guide at power-profit.com/resources, my friends. Okay. All right. Okay. Let me put this up here. I forgot my board today. What are you guessing? I'm guessing both. What do you mean? I'm guessing both. What's that mean? You guessing both? And kiss back at you. Who's that? Mwah. Mwah. I don't know if I'm coming on dark on this TikTok or not because I look dark. I hope y'all can see me okay. I know I'm bright over here. So look, let's get to it because I'm telling you, yesterday was like a marathon session for both for TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube. It was like 2 hours and 11 minutes. And for those of y'all who want to see the live stream from yesterday, I've been putting, of course, try to get more interactions with your live. Look, TikTok, you ask me questions as I'm going along. I will answer them. I'm still trying to figure out how to do all this work here with all these icons here. But I'm going to figure it out and I can see your messages, I think. But look, got questions you ask me in the midst. Same thing with Facebook and YouTube. I just get more stuff from TikTok land. Okay? But I'm not ignoring you guys for TikTok. It's just that I'm navigating both things over here. But as I was saying, yesterday was like a marathon session. At 2 hours and 11 minutes of discussion. I didn't even know that I could still talk that long. Okay? I used to do lectures as a professor in higher ed, and I would be in the middle of the lecture and I would say, oh my God, I'm tired of talking. It's your turn. It's your turn to talk. I can't even talk, right? But I don't know. There's something about what's happening here. I'm excited about it, right? I'm excited about it. Okay, so come on in, y'all, and let's settle in. We got a little bit of work to do. Look, whatever the day has been for you so far, if you can, set it down for this next stretch of time. And I did put it into 45 minutes, right? 45 minutes to try to keep it, 45 minutes. I'm going to try. Okay, because today we always do something a little different on Thursday than the rest of the week because it is about how do I make this walk practical? What do I need to do to sit in this stuff and grow through it? Right? That's what the practice day is about. And I used to do live practice, the actual live practice. But it was so, my gut, my intuition was like, teach the practice, do the live guided practice in the temple, or one-on-one with my clients. It's a little strange doing the practice. I don't know. It's like giving out all the goodies. I'm not trying to give out all the Kim goodies to the whole internet, right? I mean, that's just not what you look. We got to keep some things sacred, okay? So the actual live guided practice where I'm taking y'all through this stuff, it lives in the temple right now or in one-on-one with me, okay? And so before we get into all this stuff, because you don't need to be at the other live streams to be here right now. I'm just going to give you a little rundown of what we've covered so far so you understand where we're at. When we opened the doorway on Monday, we stood at the Gate of Akh. We are now in the Gate of Akh. Yesterday in the commentary, Tuesday in the commentary, we talked about what the Gate of Akh is. It is the reunion of the Ka life force with the Ba, the soul. We talked about that, the life force and the true self. And we watched the cage. I talked about the digital cage, right? Because it's so prevalent in our lives. I use that as an example to show how the machine, the system, the cage, whatever it is that's a form of oppression, whether you see it as oppression or not, but something that's a bounded reality that holds you captive. I'm calling it a cage. It doesn't always have to be a cage in a negative sense. You can have other names for it, but the cage was the name that I chose. How the cage wants to split you from your life force and your true self. It does that work there, and particularly in regards to the internet, to sell you, right? To sell you, right? And then there are other types of cages. I don't necessarily talk about love relationships, all these little bits and pieces, because my whole walk here, my whole thing that I think is important is we look at this as the overarcher, right? Like, I'm not going to get into all the nitty gritty about how you handle your relationship, because if we can up our game in life overall, all the rest of the stuff that makes it up can and will fall into place, right? I tried to do that, but that's not the walk I was told to journey through, okay? Although I can't help in those ways. Hi, y'all. How y'all doing? That's TikTok for you. Got questions? Anywhere, you let me know. I'm open to questions always. And as I've mentioned before, I think as I move forward or outside the Ascension series is almost over, I'm going to start a series of question and answering and all that stuff, where I could actually interact with folks. Because like I said yesterday, I'm a community person. I don't talk about Ubuntu for nothing. I am because we are because I am. Right? And I cannot just be sitting in some isolated one-on-one situation, because my energy works best when we are grouped, when I can have that melanin power made manifest with a group of Kim folks. Okay? So we talked about the cage splitting us. And then we did the teaching yesterday. Teaching is always on Wednesday. And we named the body you wear when you come through the gate, right? When you come through the gate, your body you wear is the Sahu. And like I said, you can't run to the finish line and just get in to the Sahu alignment. Okay? That's not how it works. The Sahu, though, is the incorruptible body. Okay? The self, that corruption, that the crap, it cannot reach, right? Reach you a line between the corruptible body. Everything about you, the world can and will wear down and revise for its own purposes, right? And the incorruptible one, the self, it could never touch, right? Many of us go through life just letting it touch us all over. Our self-worth comes from the touching. We identify the touching with value. And then when the touching is not there, or we are challenged by the touch, we fall apart. And so we Kim people are not to walk in that way. That is not our divine placement in this 3D dynamic in which we exist. No, we are the incorruptible one. And we need to realize that, which is hard to realize it if I mean, look, it took me decades to understand the corrupted self that I existed as. And that's not corruption and I'm a bad person. I'm a failure. Oh, yeah, I was thinking that too. That I'm a bad, I thought that too. Look. But I woke up. And I'm getting emotional because waking up is the only way that we as Kim folks can do what it is that we need to do for ourselves and for our communities. Okay? Because we see it's not about the corruption has turned into killing. It's always been that way. 74 lynchings since March of this year. Wake up, my friends. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up. Yeah, I'm dropping a tear. I just got emotional about that because we can be so asleep that everything just passes us by, and then we transition into the spirit realm. I don't think that's how it's supposed to be. I don't believe that's my understanding. That is not the default position that we're supposed to exist in. Do you understand? Our default position is one of power made manifest. And then it takes off from there. That's what the Gate of Akh puts into motion. Power made manifest, a full understanding of your power as a Kim being, coated and covered outside and in with a power that no other group has but Kim. So, we have named the body, right? Sahu. Today, you learn how to put it on, my friends. Today is the practice, but I want you to hear me clearly, y'all. All y'all, listen to me, because I do not want you confused about what this hour is and what it is not. This live stream teaches the practice. As I mentioned before, I'm going to mention it again. It is not the practice itself. I am not going to lead you through all of the processes, the full silent vigil on air. The deep guided work is not done in this live stream. That lives in the temple, and we all know the temple is the group I have been directed to establish, okay? The temple, right? But today you learn what the practice is. You get a chance to see the guide and get an understanding about, why it's created the way it's created and what it can potentially do in your life if you go through the entire walk of Ka, walk of Ba, and this walk of Akh, the Gate of Akh, my friends. And you will leave knowing exactly how to begin and knowing how it works. That is the whole aim of this hour. And I want to be clear to you, once the Akh Ascension series is over, I will begin to recruit folks into the temple to do the entire walk from the beginning at the Gate of Ka, then the Gate of Ba, and then the Gate of Akh as we move forward. And we move forward as a community, as a group. Okay, so there are some things to look forward to, and that will probably begin in January 2027, of course, with an increased membership fee for the temple. Okay, so I may run a special for the temple, maybe or maybe not. It is $44, which is 11/11, 11/11. Numerology over here, right? Manifestation all day and night, right? But we'll see. We'll see. Okay, so take a deep breath. Let it out. And what I'm going to share with you, my friends, is not necessarily a technique you just bolt into your life. It is an old rite. Remember we talked about the Book of the Dead yesterday? Older than you think, my friends. And by the end of this hour, I'm going to, give it to you in your own hands, right? All the stuff that I teach, the whole Akh Ascension evolves from the Book of the Dead as well as other ancient texts, okay? And again, I will say my training is as my training, job training, a translational research scientist. So I would take data I've understand, analyzed, and I interpret in some way, shape, or form as it's communicated through those data. And then I would translate it into something that is useful. For me, I only worked with Black communities. So I would work with Black communities to translate those data into something useful in those communities. That was my old job. So I still have this translational framework on, because when I first encountered all of this, the Book of the Dead, the coffin text, I'm like, this don't make no sense. I can't use this. Everybody got to be dead. But dead is a metaphor, my friends. Okay? And the translation of these texts into lived reality speaks to being dead as a corrupted self, right? Asleep, sleepwalking, right? So these rites have been translated into rites to wake us up, get us going, right? Help us feel more free. You got a problem with that? Too bad. A problem with what I'm doing, how I translate. I don't follow any tradition. I follow the downloads I get from the divine intelligence, right? Right? I can't get with all this other stuff. I was trying to study Kemet. I mean, it was like it was some secret society. I was like, what is wrong with these people? Oh, I got to go through an initiation. I'm like, I don't have time for all this craziness. You don't have no hold over these texts. That's what I mean. We always think somebody got a hold over the text. That's why when even I teach it for my clients in the temple too, I'm like, yes, these are the tools. Now you interpret them, you do them, by the time, it's all about developing your intuition, your capacity to see dark awake while you close in the black light, to be able to discern how you make these things your own. And that is the training that comes in the temple as well. Nobody has a hold over anything. Now, not one corporal being, okay? That may be a problem for people, because it's like, what do you believe in? What you believe in, first and foremost, has to come through your relationship with the cosmos, the cosmic consciousness, divine intelligence, the universal life force, right? If you call it God, I don't use God because that word, I don't know where it came from. It makes no sense to me. It's weird. It has all kind of weird connotations to it. To me, it's aligned with whiteness, white hierarchy. I don't use the word God in anything because it's just aligned with something. I don't use Allah because Allah is aligned again with a religion. I can appreciate Islam. I really do. I mean, I've read some of the Quran, and I'm like, if I had some of that information when I was growing up, maybe my walk in life might have been a little different. But I do not subscribe to anybody telling me what I need to do. Right? We are strong, not strong. We are powerful Kim peoples. We can discern this stuff in an egalitarian, useful way for everyone without telling somebody, you wrong, you got to do it this way. Don't tell me I'm wrong. You could disagree. There might be a better way. But don't tell me my life ain't right unless I'm following something like this. But I will tell you, anything you go to, any religion, if that's what you into, you better learn how to hear your own voice in that. Because if not, what's that word? You a mark. And you don't want to be a mark. I'm being rude. Look. Okay. Before we take another step into the practice, and I'm going to stop digressing because I'm running my mouth. Thank y'all for joining again. Thank y'all for joining. I'm just going to stay with it. I got to settle something first before I get started because it changes how you sit down with this. And because getting it wrong is where I have watched many people that I have worked with, get really upset about this. So, you start with the gathering. I'm going to call it the gathering. The Sahu is the seventh body of light out of 9. And it does not throw away the bodies of light that came before. Okay, I'm going to say this again because I haven't said this enough throughout this series. The Sahu carries the other 6 bodies of light. And you can see the path on power-profit.com. The Sahu carries them. The Khat, where you get home to the body, you got to get to the body first, right? The Ka, the life force that is so important, is the current you draw on. And everybody loved the Ka discussion because it was about the bloodline. And the ancestors. You can't do any of this work without cozying up to your ancestors, right? It's in your blood. The Ib, your hearts, you got to get with that. Understanding how to shake off whatever has been burdening your heart, weighing it down, making you feel like you ain't worthy, right? And then the Ren/Nomo, your name, the power of your name. Don't let anybody shorten your name, give you some crazy nickname. You tell them to go somewhere. Don't go into a workplace. And because somebody cannot pronounce your name, you let them give you a different name or a piece of your name. Oh, no. You call me a Kyla Ka. And because I purchased that PhD, almost $130,000 worth of purchasing, they better call me Dr. Ma'at. Yeah? Oh, no. And I did some clips on why I do not use people's nicknames unless they are adamant that I call him Pee-wee, which I can't. I'll say, I'll give the last name. All right, Mrs. Jones. All right, Mr. Ted. I won't even go. I'll go to the last name, right? I'm not simplifying yourself because you've been taught to put you in three letters. And we all know that words are spells, incantation. You write them, you speak them, it's all the same. You bringing something to life. Don't ever forget that. Because that will change what you say to you, what you say just out, what you say to other people. And then we talked after the Ren, we went to the shoot. People seem to really get off on this idea of the shadow self. I don't blame you because everybody's telling you bad. Fix it. How to use it. And I'm not trying to be irresponsible in talking about the shadow self. Somebody said to me in a DM, hey, or in a comment, hey, some people are violent. They got to figure that out. I'm like, certain groups of people are violent. And then they model violence that sleepwalkers then believe that they can do. But if we are in our natural state, certain folks, that's not part of what we do, because in ancient African spirituality, everything has a soul. Everything's supposed to live in harmony. Now, you might be saying you're an idealist or you are crazy. Look, I believe in my kinfolks, especially kinfolks in the natural state. If we can get back to that power, that walk, that understanding, that being of self. So the shadow, all that shadow self, that's Western medicine. That's Jung, I don't know who else. That didn't evolve from some ancient African spiritual understanding of reality, of the world, of self, of soul. We buy into this stuff so we can be exploited. Oh, I got to go to the psychologist to figure out how to deal with my temper. You know why you got a temper? Because you mad that you got to live like this. Ain't nothing wrong with you. I got to deal with this shadow self because I want to kill people. What? The crazy stuff this society does, and what you see, it may make somebody become homicidal, sociopath, except some people are naturally like that. But Kim folks, let me tell you, so this idea of the shadow, it's a gift, it's protection. It just gets corrupted living in societies that are just broke, sick. And believe me, the US of Americans is sick. 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 The root is poisoned. They call that what? The Constitution. It constitutes, which means forms the tree. If the root is poisoned, then you know the tree is sick, which means the fruit is toxic. So let's be real about that. And then when you lay no more on top of that, they did an incantation, a spell on paper that is fueling the continuation, that has put a spell on the society so that it continues to be toxic. They wrote it and they speak it all the time. The Constitution. Let's be real. Every time you say that, you speak the words from that document, you are delivering a spell over the society and everything in it that emanates from the broken people that wrote that document. Do you understand? Of course, they want to separate faith and government. That makes sense. But we need to have a spiritual understanding of these things. But we don't run this, right? They won't give us an opportunity to take over because they done broke everything. They need somebody else to step in. But see, if we step in too, we sick a little bit too. So I just don't know. We're at a catch-22, a conundrum. The life force, the Ka, has been separated from the true self. So we got to heal us before we bring us back together, before we can do anything in a way that builds harmony, egalitarianism, all that good stuff, right? And I sit here in the middle, trying my best to figure out if I'm supposed to help facilitate this. Please continue to support me in this walk. So be it. Let it be so. Let it be so. So it is. All right. So we talked about the shoot. That's a gift. The ba, the soul that flies, and now has a home, right? That cannot decay. And when you sit in this practice, once you go through that 9 body of light walk, you are not leaving any of those other bodies of light at the door. You bring your whole self into the stillness of this practice. That's why I'm like, you just can't take this practice and start here. No. It takes all of the bodies of light. Okay? Nothing you have learned across these weeks is left behind. It is all carried forward. And with practice, all of that stuff becomes like, like the air you breathe. It's just something that happens. You don't even think about it anymore. But it takes practice, okay? And so, the Gate of Akh, where the Sahu lives, Like I said, it's not the starting line, it's the third gate. You come by it by all the other gates, the gate of Ka, the gate of Ba. The gate of Ka is where you recognize things that you need to fix. The gate of Ba is where you start to release all that stuff, right? And so, and you come home to it with a real comprehension of the power of your Kim, your melanin, right? Because that's what this whole thing is about. You can't shine if you really don't understand what that means. And that is uniquely, intimately aligned with understanding your Kim and the power of your Kim. And again, I have watched people a million times who reach straight for the gate of Akh with no grounding under their feet. They tried to put the shining body before they recognized the Ka and released through the Ba, before they understood the power they were carrying with their own super technology here, right? And then they came back to me frustrated, mad, convinced they had failed, convinced the work simply does not take with their, oh, this don't work for me, that everyone else can do this and that they are the broken one. No, 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 no. Hear me. None of this is a failure. The only thing is you got to have the foundation first. Okay? So we begin today. All right? I'm skipping a lot of stuff because, you know, I could be long-winded and I already talked a lot. So what is this practice actually for? Let me put it plainly as the guide does everybody here. And so the whole practice exists for one thing, right? To move you off the shelf. The crowd writes, right? They're going to write you into existence, you know? You got to go to the you, the true self right here. Because look at what you're up against every day, my friends. The world reserves the right to define you daily. And you know it does. It does in every way, shape, and form. It does. It praises you when you perform. It attacks you when you do not. It cancels. It revises. It keeps your worth up for a vote. And it never closes, right? And it never quite counts in your favor for long, because if you do make it, there's always another hurdle, another hoop, another thing or individual trying to undermine your spectacularity, your phenomenalness. You know what I'm talking about here, okay? You post the thing I'm talking about online now, because that's what the whole week was about, this digital cage. You post a thing, and then you watch the numbers to find out how you should feel about yourself. Oh, nobody likes me. Nobody likes this. We internalize all this stuff. We personalize all this stuff. You walk out of the room and you replay it to see whether something's acceptable. Oh, I made a mistake. You start OCDing about what you say on these things, tripping, deleting stuff. Oh, it's just a little too much, right? That is the self, the crowd writes, and you allow it to define how you feel. And the practice is how you step out of that courtroom, right? Like I said, I put a clip up, or I will put a clip up today, but the idea is I don't sit in nobody's comments, right? You're going to say something mean to me, I'll say thank you for the comment, right? Believe me, I've been told off up and down in the things that I teach and share, right? If it's too much, I will block you, delete the comment, because nobody needs to read that stuff. I'm not trying to traffic in anger and being mad and frustrated. No, I am trafficking in belief, faith, and hope. And understanding that you are the power, right? So I don't need all that. It took a while to get to that point. But no. So I want to talk a little bit about how this practice came into being, right? Because people hear a practice about stillness, sitting in the dark, and they think this is relaxation, a little calm, a little self-care. Let me correct that right now and firmly. The shining is not soft. This is not about softness. Oh, I'm just happy and smiling all the time. The shining is effective. It's about effective. The old word beneath it means to shine and to be effective in the same breath, to be radiant and to get things done. Okay? So listen how the ancestors spoke about this in the book of Gates, right? This is a different book. In the book of Gates, the radiance of the creator is set against chaos. And the text says, my shining is against them. The light is a weapon. It moves the darkness out of the way. In the book of the dead, the living actually wrote the letters, right? In the letters to the dead, the living actually wrote letters to the able and effective ones who've crossed over, and asked them to go into the hidden courts, the hidden spaces, and fight for the family, right? To push back what is harming them. And in the Book of the Dead, chapter 136b, the Sahu repulses Apep, A-P-E-P, or you can call Isfet, I-S-F-E-T, the great serpent of chaos, my friends, and heals the wounds he has made, right? This is not a practice that makes you pleasant to be around. No. It is a practice that makes you powerful and hard to move. I'm going to say it again. Support your independent faith media, my friends. So here's what changes when you actually do this work. There is the shining where you stop borrowing your steadiness from the crowd, from others, right? I used to be like that. Oh, I need me a man to do this. You know, I need somebody to be. I'm sweating like I don't know what. I'm telling you, I'm going through menopause over here, and I forgot. Give me a second. I got to get something. Give me a second. I'm sweating. Give me a second, y'all. I'm here. I'm back. Oh, I'm sweating. I even turned the air condition down. I mean, higher, you know, turn the temperature, the number down so it can go higher. That ain't helping. So when you stop borrowing your steadiness from the crowd or somebody else, or from some woman, some man, somebody's, right? And you learn to anchor it from within. I mean, really, okay? There is the integration where you carry every part of yourself forward, my friends, and you leave no piece behind for the machine. You know, people call it the system, them, they, I don't know, whatever your machine is, to pick up and harvest. And then there is sovereignty, and that's how I kind of started in this spiritual teaching walk, talking about self-sovereignty. That is such an important concept. Where you move from being forced by your circumstances to directing your own energy on purpose, because you can only control yourself. And from being moved to being the one who moves, and being aware enough to know when you moderate that power. Because sometimes you got to know when to step back, when to sit, when to let somebody else do their thing, right? That's hard for a lot of people because they're all up in the ego. To put it in the plainest words I have right now, my friend, you stop reacting to the storm and you start making the dawn, right? The dawn. Because we can be in some storms. I talked about that yesterday. And that is what this practice is for, okay? So let me show you where it comes from in case you didn't get it from me yesterday. You know, we're talking about the Sakhu, S-A-K-H-U, Rite, R-I-T-E, in the Book of the Dead. So this practice isn't something I invented. None of these practices, nothing I do, I didn't invent. I may have translated it and put it into contemporary times, but I did not invent it. And I want you to hear it in your own words because that is where its authority comes from, okay? Yesterday, we opened the Sakhu. The name is a small piece of grammar that matters. It is causative, right? It is a verb. Sakhu, H-S-A-K-A, like Akh, Sakhu, okay? And it means to render the dead effective to make them shine. And for me, dead is a metaphor for us sleepwalking and being corrupted by this stuff, right? The Book of the Dead and the Coffin text. And I'm already on low battery in this, my phone on TikTok. TikTok, if for some reason I got to go because the phone is draining faster, how y'all doing? Then I can imagine. She said, bitch, yes. Sorry. Who is this? You know I can't see. Who said that? If she's still here. Nikki Fofaba? Nikki Fofofa? Nikki Child, yes. He said, bitch, yes. I say bish. If I'm going to say anything. But I hear you, babe. Thank you, Nikki. So, the Sakh, right? The Book of the Dead and the Coffin text. Don't forget the coffin text were the script of that rite, okay? They were the sacred words a priest recited over the still body, the body that had that the spirit had transitioned from, with offerings to lock the Ka, the life force, and the Ba, the true self, together into one incorruptible form. So when you hold the Book of the Dead in your hands, and believe me, that's something to hold. It's hard to hold, hard to read, hard to understand sometimes. Understand what you are holding. You are not holding a storybook about dead Egyptians who were African, okay? African, okay? You are holding the recitations of the rite that made the shining city. And you have to know that the Egyptians, I believe that, and I can't think of the name, but Nubia, right? The land of the bow, right? They were not at the same time. Nubia, for many historians, came first and informed a lot of what happened in ancient Egypt, okay? All right. So we talk about Sudan, right? The place they letting people starve to death, killing babies, massive floods. Nubia, okay? Okay? And then, of course, Egypt wanted to conquer Nubia, right? Then Nubia rose back up and conquered Egypt. But the land of the bow, what is it? The Magi soldiers. You didn't mess with them in the land of the bow. They could stick an arrow from I don't know how far away through somebody's eye. The Magi. And you know what's so funny about that term is I was watching Excalibur, this huge movie. I think it had that African actor who played an Amistad in it, and it had another actor. Anyway, I like all this old stuff. It's very educational. The Magi were the witches, the people who could talk to the environment, make the wind come, communicate with the birds. I mean, they know that's true because Kim people got that. We don't forgot we know how to do that, but we had that. But they took the name of ferocious African warriors from eons and eons ago and turned it into a woman who could communicate with birds and make fire in a tower. I'm telling you. So let me read you from chapter 136b in the Book of the Dead. These words spoken to become the Sahu. Listen, O bright, quote, O bright flame, art behind Ra, sun god, the dividest his crown. Maybe more complex than the Bible, right? I make my way at the prow, P-R-W, of the bark of Ra, which lifteth me up like his disc. I'm going to explain this in a minute, right? I shine like the glorious ones whom he hath enriched with his wealth, holding fast like the Lord of Ma'at. And so I have repulsed a pep, A-P-E-P, parentheses, or brackets, I should say, Isfet, and then no, parentheses, Isfet in brackets, people call it the devil, right? Satan, Lucifer. Um, and healed the wounds he made. Let me pass. I am the powerful one, the Lord of the powerful. I am the Sahu, the Lord of Ma'at, the creator of every dawn. Place me among the followers of Ra, the sun. Now, you know they got all this Bible stuff all from these texts, okay? Followers of Ra, the Son of God, right? We think is the Son of God, right? The Son, S-O-N, is S-U-N. I'm not even going to get into all that right now, okay? But sit in that for a breath, my friends. That is the Rite. That's from the Book of the Dead, chapter 136b. That is a human being speaking themselves into the shining body, rising at the prow. I'm gonna look up proud real quick to understand what that is. What is prow? I got my definition, but I'm gonna give you yours. The prow is a ship, a boat, my friends. Okay, that's where we are. Oh my goodness, why is that still open? Give me a second here. I wasn't even know I'm running my AI thing in the background that's eating up all the power. So the prow, the boat, my friends, the ship, right? So where am I at? Rising at the prow of the sunboat. The prow is the front part of the boat, okay? Shining like the glorious ones, holding fast in truth of the Lord of Ma'at, turning a serpent back and healing the wound and naming it out loud. I am the Sahu, right? Place me among the followers of the sun. Okay, now the Sahu Practice Guide is aligned with this Rite. Okay, hear the strength of that word, aligned. Okay, it is not a modern routine dressed up in old language. It is, my friends, that same Rite, the Sakhu of the Sakh. I'm just going to say Sakh of the Book of the Dead, translated for a living body. Okay. The words a priest recited over a still form are words you are going to speak over your in your own mouth, okay, over your form, right? And everything I'm about to teach you, the vigil, the fast is not fasting food, my friends, although that could be a fast you have. The inventory, the tracker is an ancient rite broken down into parts you can actually do inside an ordinary week. And here's the turn that changes everything. There is no priest here. There's I am an ordained minister, my friends, but you don't need me to do this work, right? To recite these words over you. I can, I will, I would, right? In this practice, you are both the priest and the body. You are the one who performs the rite, and you are the one it is performed on. You perform your own Sakhu, right? And let me show you the first part and let you begin with the question. Okay, so let me see if I can do this because I'm running low here. I'm supposed to be able to pull up effects, right? And so, you know, TikTok, I'm gonna see what I can do here because I don't even see effects right now. Effects. Let me see. Less. Y'all better show me some more. It was so easy before. You know I can't see. Well, look, if I can't pull it up because look, my power is running out. Oh, here it is. Okay. So effects. This is, oh, can you see that TikTok? Oh my God, I'm so proud of myself. That's the first page. All right, YouTube, here I am. I'm showing you what I'm showing YouTube and Facebook. This is the cover of the practice guide. You pull it down, took a picture of it, okay? This is the Sahu Incorruptible Self. That's the cover, okay? So now I'm going to bring up the next page for both folks, okay? We're going to get into the Vigil. All right, there you go. That's the first page of the guide. TikTok is the same thing I'm showing on YouTube and Facebook. All right, the first thing you will notice about the practice is that it happens in the dark. I do give you directions on there. TikTok, maybe take a screenshot of that if you want, or you can go to Power-Profit, everybody, Power-Profit.com/resources to get the book. The first thing you will notice is it happens in the dark, in stillness, with everything turned off. It is not about mood lighting, my friend. That's not what it's about. And it is not an accident. There's a reason rooted in the body that you are actually made of. And you know, I'm going to take this down for a minute, TikTok. You don't need that up there for all this long time, all right? Okay, so you saw that. You want to get the guide, all right? Because my power is waning, okay? Look, you're sitting in the dark because the dark awake, you gain knowledge of this in, early on. I did a whole series on the black light, right? The dark. You are dark. You're black. You're Kim. We're not having our eyes open looking around here. No, we are trying to intently get into the melanin, the cosmos, which is available when you close your eyes and stare into the blackness that is there. That is essential for Kim people to understand. You fall into the blackness, okay? The incorruptible self is met in the dark, right? Met in the black light. You do not find it under a bright light, right? A white light. No, you do not find it in more noise, okay? Or in a louder performance, my friends. You find it in the dark, okay? And the reason is the Kim, the melanin. You are a receiver, right? And by the time you get to this practice, you understand what's happening with you so that this becomes more relevant, more real to you. You are the receiver. The melanin woven in your skin and gathered in the dark centers of your brain is an antenna. The pineal, the small organ at the center of your head that the elders call the keeper of the dark, the producer of melanin, comes alive when the light goes down. Don't be afraid of the dark. I've mentioned a long time ago that I have a walk-in closet that I will go, if I want to keep my eyes open, I will go in the walk-in closet, shut the door, and it is pitch black. That's what I'm talking about. I'm scared of the dark. If you're scared of the dark, you're scared of you. You understand me? Okay. So all day long, the world floods you with input, with light, with other people's voices and verdicts and demands. And under all that flooding, the receiver simply cannot hear the signal. It is buried in static. So when you sit in the black, in the dark with no phone, no audience, and nothing required of you, you are not hiding from your life, my friends. No, you are clearing out the static. You are turning off the flood so the receiver can finally pick up what has been underneath it the whole time. That's you. I mean, of course, more complicated, a little bit more complicated than that, right? And notice this, because it is the whole mechanism here, the borrowed selves. The borrowed selves, the corruptible selves, need an audience to perform for. And that is what they run on. Take the audience away, sit in the black, the Kim, the dark, right? Where no one is watching, and one by one, they lose their stage and go quiet. May take many more sit downs to feel comfortable in the black, or the dark, in the Kim. Okay? And what is left when you go quiet, the steady thing that does not need, you don't need it to witness. When what happens is called the signal, right? The signal. That is the self beneath your circumstance. That is what the whole practice is here doing, right? And the dark is simply how you reach the signal. People call it intuition, the downloads, the this, the that, the knowing, the visions. And so, and now you see why I told you, like back at the start, that you have to have a comprehension of melanin power. This is part of the ground here. Because if you don't know who you are, and you are still believing the covering you are given is a problem to be managed instead of an instrument, a technology, my friends, to be honored and utilized, you will sit in that dark and you will fight yourself the entire time. And this understanding of melanin is just not, oh, no, I love my melanin. I love me. I get this, right? Oh, I'm black. I'm proud to be black. I'm black and I'm proud. No, 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 no. This is way beyond comprehending those words, which are wonderful, right? It's way beyond that. It's a comprehension where you feel, where you begin to feel the power. Walk the power. It's not words. Words can help you get there. As I said, words have power, but When you know you are a receiver, when you know, built with a wide and sacred range, the black, the dark stops being an empty room you are trapped in or you got to run away from, my friend. It becomes a space where you finally come online. Do you hear what I'm saying? All right, TikTok, I'm going to have to get off of here because my phone is really low. I'm going to keep talking till it stops. If it stops, join me on Power Prophet TV or on Facebook at the Power of Release. Right? In the black, in the dark, in the Kim is where you finally come online. Got you scared of the dark. Come on now. You scared of the dark, you scared of you. So here is the first and central part of the practice. Okay, I'm going to pull this up for y'all. Where am I at? Oh, we got the vigil. I already did this, right? The instructions are on there, right? And they're on there, the vigil. You all those instructions are there. And then there's the offering. I'm going to show you what I mean by the fasting before this clicks off. Where am I at here? The offering, I talked about the offering, TikTok and Facebook. I'm going to pull this up for y'all because it's at the end near the tracker, right? So the vigil is where you get still. Okay? And then you see fasting from performance, right? You can fast from whatever you want, but when I'm talking about fasting here or the offering that you're giving, I'm talking about you choose 1 hour in your day with no audience. That is the offering your full self. 1 hour where you're not posting, not proving, not managing how you are coming across to anyone, my friends. Let me make it concrete, right? An hour where you do not check who liked the thing or what's happening out there, where you do not rehearse the sentence before you say it, where you cook or walk or sit with someone you love, you are simply there, not narrating yourself, not with no one. You're not doing it with anybody, not building the version of yourself any longer. You are not performing in any way. That's the fast, okay? That's the offering yourself with no performance, okay? Because this is a piece of the rite most people have exactly backwards, right? In the old Sakhu, you carry an offering to the altar, you bought something and you laid it down. But in the living rite, the offering is not what you bring, it is what you take off the altar, my friends. And the altar, I mean, is the altar of the audience, the crowd, the person you're trying to please, the one you have been laying yourself down for every single day. The offering is the performance you stop giving. Do you understand that? The borrowed self you stop feeding, right? That's the offering, my friends. That's what I mean by the offering, okay? That's what I mean. The reunion, the cage is working day and night to prevent keeping your life force from your soul, right? Your life force and your true self finally standing together. It begins to hold, right? You gotta place. The offering is your fast of the performance. And some people don't even know how to turn the performance off. That's a big issue. Where am I at? So in the vigil, you're taking yourself off the altar by fasting performance. You're not sitting there. This is not a performance, my friends. And then the other thing that I want to talk to you about is this guide also has the incorruptible inventory. I'm pulling all this stuff up so that TikTok can see these things, and I'm bringing this up for you guys on YouTube and Facebook. The incorruptible inventory. Okay, where am I at here? Let me use this one. It's a little better. It's a worksheet. And you got to know that these practice guides are not the full on practice, right? It's just bits and pieces that folks can handle on their own, right? You got to write this stuff out. It asks you 4 questions, right? Whose opinion of you is running your life? And what has it cost you, right? You write it. Name a place where you perform a self that is not truly yours. Where do you put the mask on, and who is it for, right? What remains true about you regardless of praise or attack? The thing that does not move when the room turns on and does not inflate when the room loves you, my friends. And that one is hard and is the most important one on the page, so give it time. And the last one, one arena where you will stop sourcing your worth from the outside. Okay? Just one. Not your whole life, just one. Okay? Now, why do all this, my friends? Why do all this? Well, first of all, because I'm sure, unless you're very conscious, very reflective, that ain't nobody sitting there thinking about all this stuff. So first, that's why I do it, because you probably don't. And remember the cage? We talked about that. The machine that splits you by keeping your worth up for a vote, and it works precisely because it stays invisible, my friend. You cannot feel the exact moment the borrowed self takes the wheel. Many times you cannot. Most often, we cannot. The inventory drags that moment into the light. We got to see. We got to recognize. It makes you write it down. Remember words, power, spells, incantation, right? You write it down. You cannot release what you've never named, and that page is the naming. And what you walk away with holding is clarity. You have more insight into you, not a vague, better feeling, right? But a specific clarity of knowing whose voice you have been living under, my friends, and exactly what you have paid for the privilege. And one concrete decision, one arena where starting now, you source your worth from within instead of from outside, from the crowd. That one decision is where the entire practice reaches down and touches the ground of your real actual life, my friends. Okay. And the last thing I want to show you, and I'm so glad this TikTok is not going offline, is the inventory. This was right here underneath of the fasting from performance, right? We have a tracker. Okay. And this is the one part that quietly decides everything, right? Whether it stays real or it stays like a nice idea in your head. The guide calls it the integration tracker because we're bringing our life force back with our true self. And on the surface, it could not seem simpler. It's only 7 days. Again, this is an abridged version of all the actual practice, right? 7 days. You mark each day that you kept 1 hour where you were not performing. Okay? And why do you want to track this over 7 days? Because first of all, you got to get into the practice of collecting data on yourself, right? I'm a researcher. I understand the importance of collecting data. We do it every place else. We'll go online and read Amazon reviews all night and day before we buy something. But what data do we collect on ourselves? Oh, how somebody perceives you and talks to you? That's some BS. You got to learn to collect your own data about you. People talk about journaling. That's data on you. But how many people actually journal in this way? Okay, so here's why we do this. The old Rite that I read to you, it is tended, 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 right? The Sakhu was never done one time and left alone, my friends. It was kept up with constant offerings, taking your performance self off the altar, fasting that, because a Rite left untended let the shining fade. You got to check in with yourself and let the dead die a second time. Ooh, that's deep. Your practice is the same, right? And there is a trap in it that I want you to know about in advance, right? Now, we begin this sometimes with a feeling, right? Oh, I'm into it. Maybe it is the fire of this teaching that lights something in your body. Maybe it is a burst of resolve like we get every man's new year. That's January 1st is man's new year, right? Maybe it's grief. Maybe it is the plain aching relief of finally being seen and named. The feeling is a good door. Use it to walk through, but feelings fade, right? They fade. So practice does not begin to hold on the day the feeling carries you. No, that day is easy, right? The tracker exists for exactly the morning that you don't want to do it. Discipline, not motivation. I don't believe in motivation. I believe in discipline. Okay? Carries you through each day, a reminder to do it. 7 days. That is how an inspired moment turns into a habit. And believe me, it takes longer than 7 days to make a habit, my friends. And it's even better to work on building a habit in a community of folks than it is by yourself. That's why they always got buddy exercises or, these run groups get together. Oh, yeah. All right. This power in community. All right. And that is how the Sahu is rendered. The way it's always been rendered, by repetition, offering after offering, one kept hour at a time. So that's basically the whole practice. All right, y'all? It seems real easy in words, but do it, right? Because the Sakhu is a verb. It's causative, cause and effect, right? All this stuff seems easy until you get into it to do it, especially if you want to make a change in you for you, right? And it's free. The practice guide is free. And if you want to do this practice alone in a vacuum, that is fine, but it's hard to hold on to when you're doing this by yourself. That's what the temple is for. And I will continue to talk about the temple all day and night. The temple is the reoccurring home of all the practices and of this practice once you get to this point, right? It is where we gather for new moon rites, which I do in the temple, which I have one upcoming soon, right? We sit in the vigil together, my friends, because sometimes it's good to get that start in community. It is the place your tracker stops being a lonely discipline and becomes something a whole community is keeping right alongside of you, right? Y'all know how much it costs, $44 a month, 7 days free. All right. You get a special intuitive psychic read with me once a month. And every week you getting something. Live streaming, practices. Beginning in January, we begin this walk from the Gate of Akh together as we go into the new year. Okay. TikTok, my phone's going to die. So I'm going to hang up on y'all. I love y'all very much. DM me if you have any questions. Please let me know. Let me know what you need from me. And I'm behind on doing the comment responses, the DMs. I will get to that either later today or tomorrow. As I said, doing these live streams 5 days a week is more work than I imagined, but this is the instruction I was giving, so I follow the instructions as I'm giving to them, as I'm giving them, as they're downloaded into me. That's it. I had a few words here, right? I mean, put them in your mouth before we go. Say these quietly in your own voice. I know anybody gonna remember, but I'm gonna say them anyway. Who am I when no one is watching and nothing is required? This is the self they cannot touch. This is the one I live from. Let the world write drafts of me. I am the original. It will never reach. You are. All right? Like, oh, look. I got some more on here. This is not the end of the week, y'all. Tomorrow, bring the whole week together with the weekend wrap, right? 2:30 tomorrow. We sort of bring it all together, put a little line under it, little exclamation point. This is what we did, so we can get ready for next week. We move into the Sakhu. That's the 8th body of light, right? The power directed. Sahu is power manifest. The Sakhu is power directed. Okay? So go get that practice guide. Do some work. Okay? You want the entire practice guide from the Akh Ascension series, you get that in the temple. Free. All right? You get a lot of good stuff in there. All right? So y'all, thank y'all for your time. All right. See you TikTok. Love you. My phone's about to die. Y'all have a blessed day. Oh, I got 2 messages. What's on here? What's the messages? I pulled up the messages. I don't even see the messages. I don't know what this is. Y'all, I'm out of here. I'll see y'all later. All right. Facebook and YouTube hangout. Bye, TikTok. My phone is up for refreshing. All right. Bye, y'all. Love y'all. Bye-bye. There you go. There you go. TikTok, Facebook. Please like, subscribe, hit notifications. Support your independent faith media. Support us. Get that practice guide. It's on power-profit.com. Thank you, my friends. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you. Have a phenomenally blessed day. And look, I'm cutting off before 90-minute mark. I'm so happy for y'all. All right. Y'all be blessed. Love y'all. Bye-bye. I'll see you tomorrow. Weekend wrap. Be here or be square, y'all.